Good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn Introduction to Literary Criticism, BA 3rd, Semester 5th, the Module 3rd, Part 5th, that is Neoclassical Criticism, Preface to Shakespeare by Samuel Johnson. In the previous part, we learned about merits of Shakespeare and how Shakespeare merits are about his comedies and his presentation of comedies and tragedies, his characterization and his comic characters. And now we are going to learn the next part of his writing, that Samuel Johnson presented demerits or the loopholes of Shakespeare's plays or Shakespeare's works. Carelessness about plot development. According to Samuel Johnson, Shakespeare was careless about plot development, and he has given examples in his preface to Shakespeare. If you read out Preface to Shakespeare, you will come to know how Samuel Johnson presented Shakespeare's plays, his merits and demerits as well. So we agree and think that this is a real criticism of Shakespeare done by Samuel Johnson. See, carelessness about plot development. Shakespeare's plots are often loosely knit and carelessly developed. In a majority of the cases, just a little more attention would have been enough to improve them. In fact, in his plays, there are plenty of opportunities to instruct or delight, but he makes use of those they eat they are easy and rejects those which demand more effort and labor. So there is very limited scope for the plot development in the Shakespeare's plays. In many of his plays, the latter part appears to have been neglected. It seems that when he was approaching the end of his work and the reward seemed near at hand, he exerted less labor on the work in order to complete it quickly and derive the profits immediately. So, in his plays, there is last part is always not very good or not very good manner presented. It is the it is hurriedly wiped out or uh, completed by Shakespeare. When we praise for Shakespeare's plays, but at the end of the play, we seems that it is not neatly knitted. So here there are appearance of his plays in the first part is very good, but in the last part it is not complete. As a matter of fact, it is the conclusion at which he ought to have exerted his maximum labor. Lack of attention has resulted in the catastrophe in several of his plays being improbably produced or imperfectly represented. See, here also his labors about the presentation of end of the plays is very poor. Anachronism. Yet another fault in Shakespeare's plays is anachronism, his violation of chronology. He never followed chronology of plot development or his indifference to historical accuracy. He is always criticized for his historical accuracy. Shakespeare is indifferent about the distinctions of time and place and gives to one age or nation the manners and opinions which pertain to another. So he violated the chronological order of plot and his writing about the historical accuracy in his plays. This is detrimental to the effect of likelihood of the incidents. Alexander Pope opines that this defect is to be attributed not to Shakespeare himself, but to those who interpolated unnecessary details of their own into his plays. But Johnson does not agree this. Here we can understand how Johnson disagrees with the Alexander Pope's opinion about this, that Shakespeare is not only the interpolated unnecessary details of their own into his plays, but according to Johnson, there is a very much incidents which are not followed as per the history. Shakespeare makes Hector quote Aristotle in Troilus and Cressida and mingles classical legend with Gothic mythology in A Midsummer Night's Dream. However, it must be confessed that he was not the only violator of chronology. Sidney, a contemporary writer who was also learned in his Arcadia, confounded the pastoral period with the feudal age, whereas the two ages were quite opposite to each other. So, whatever the historical period presented is not similar to the presentation of the Shakespeare and other plays as well. Thank you. Here we can understand what are the demerits of Shakespeare's plays, and in the next lecture we will learn the next demerits of Shakespeare's plays presented by Samuel Johnson.